Hello, everybody. Wave if you can see
Hello.
us. Welcome, welcome. I am new to this exact type of scenario here, dealing with the tech side on my end. So bear with us. Cecile and I are prepping to show you these really amazing mixed media crows. Cecile Yadro is a gouache expert, I would say, and mixed media artist, and has some amazing stuff. And we'll chat about what we both have going on while we do our art. So I'm going to work in Procreate on the same exact reference image as Cecile. Cecile, do you want to say hi?
Hello, bonjour. Let's have fun and make some crows. Actual mixed media for me and Procreate for Jen.
Yes. And I am going to switch cameras. And
Go ahead.
we are going to go ahead and get started. I do need to do one more little switcheroo here with my camera. Oh no, it stayed switched. Perfect. Cecile,
Great.
do you want to start out with talking about how you're going to get started, and then I'll talk about how I'm going to get started, and then we can both get
Yes.
started.
So I'm going with actual mixed media, right? And I'm using a cardboard as my substrate, and I will use gel plate printed papers. I love playing with my gel plates and getting interesting textures. I have selected some papers. I won't use them all, but I wanted to show you how to select the colors for a collage. It will be collage with a bit of paint on top. And the first thing is I have decided to use that as a background.
Mm.
And I want to tear the paper on the edge and glue it while you explain how you will work, Jen.
Okay. And for me, I'm going to show you this crow mixed media, if we can call it mixed media in Procreate. We use a lot of different types of brushes. And I'm just going to show you the steps. So this takes way longer than what we are going to be doing here from start to finish. So I have broken it down into steps for you. And I don't typically work in this portrait mode, so I might lose myself here. But here's the steps I'm going to show you. We're going to start with the traced reference image, just a roughly traced crow there, just to save on time. And then I'm going to show you how to rip paper, just like Cecile, with a deckled edge there, and find patterns for each of those and how to set up your layers while you're doing all of this. We can also cut paper if we need crisp edges. We can cut way faster than Cecile's cutting right there. And then
Actually, I'm using scissors.
We're gonna paint too.
Yeah, I'm using scissors. I wanted to tear this paper, but actually it's a rice paper and it's really tearing very badly. So I have my background and I have a moon. Let's call that a moon, right?
Yes.
And I want to use the crow. I have printed two sizes because I didn't know which one would be appropriate. And I think the smaller one would be better.
Yeah, looks good.
So,
Are you cutting your crow?
yes, I'm cutting my crow. I'm selecting a paper. Sorry, just this one. It's an ad from a fashion magazine. I have added paint on top of it, and I want to trace my crow using transfer paper. This is Saral paper, and I will place my crow on top of it and trace it, and then cut it.
Excellent.
So, yeah, you can go.
And I just wanted to show you how I traced the crow really quick, and then I thought about trying to keep this simple today. I have some other examples that were not simple. So this one here is, it would just take a much longer time to show you, but this is a less painty one. So you can kind of keep things crisp. It has more straight edge plus some ripped paper look. It's way busier and takes a lot longer. And there I was just checking my value. And then this one just had a lot more pieces, little pumpkin pieces, and the moon up in the sky like Cecile. But then I thought, you know what? When this is living on YouTube, pumpkin is going to make people not want to watch it if it's not that time of year. So I thought I would do the one where the moon is being, kind of he or she is standing right there on the moon if you want it to be a moon. I am using that. I just used that same traced crow for all three of these while I was getting ready for this. So Cecile knows way more about composition than I do, but I just kind of thought about where I wanted my lines and having things kind of the rule of thirds. So, and then I can show you how to check values later, but it's a super easy thing to do in Procreate. So I have my traced, I did a moon down here and then just sort of a landscapey thing down here. And we're going to rip some paper. So I'm going to go ahead and change my background to sort of a darker.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to change my background too, because talking about composition, I have cut my crow, but it's not standing against my background. Even if I add the moon, I think the values are too close
Although
between
you
my
can add
crow.
light paint later around the crow.
Yeah, I could, but I'm losing all the point of collage, right? I'd
I don't
rather
know.
have
I've
something.
never done what you're doing. I mean,
Ah.
yeah, so I'm going to watch you and learn while I'm doing this. I'll watch the replay. So
And
for,
talking about composition, you see my moon is too small compared to the crow and the background. I need a bigger moon. So I will trace a bigger moon with a compass that I should have
oh,
somewhere.
I love your moon.
Yeah, I think
So
it's
I'm
more.
going to show just a couple of pieces of paper here. So that's going to be, and then we're going to jump. So I'm ready with various steps of this process that we can jump to so that we don't have to go from start to finish with each section. So let me just show you really quickly how to get a couple of pieces of paper down here. I'll do the moon, and I've just been using the selection tool with freehand, but you could use a monoline brush and just color fill. You just need to get an area and tap it. I'm on a low layer right now. And pick a moon-ish color. The paint is going to change all these colors later. And you can drag and drop and fill, or you can tap on the layer and tap fill while that selection is on. And then that's going to be hard to show the ripped edge so well. So I'm going to go to a new layer and do another piece. Since this piece isn't near the moon, I can go ahead and do it on a layer above the moon. And
Ah.
I'm going to select kind of a wobbly line here and pick another color and drag and drop it. This one will be easier to show you how to do the deckled edge there. So if you go to, you can find a lot of different brushes to do this. So just experiment. I really encourage people to experiment with their brushes. These are just the things that I have discovered. So if you go to pens and you go to this Minka, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, the Minka brush, I have another version of it because you can't draw with white with the Minka brush because it's set on multiply. So if you duplicate that brush and go into the brush settings by tapping on that duplicate and go to rendering, or is it not rendering? Yeah, rendering. I'm really not used to this view of this. And then change this blend mode to normal. Just tap on it and go to normal, and then tap done. That's all you need to do, because this one, if you tried to draw with white on here, not star, it won't work because it's set to multiply. But if you use that new version, it will work. All right. So first I want to get a rough edge. So with the eraser, any of them will work. And I'm just going to rotate here so I can have a better angle. And I'm just getting a rough edge. I'm roughing up my edges of any papers that I want to have a ripped edge look. If you want a cut edge look, you just don't do that part. And then I'm going to add a clipping mask to that. So I added a layer above it and turned it into a clipping mask. And I'm picking a color that I want that ripped edge to look like. So some paper is just a lighter version of that color inside. I'm going to pick kind of a gray, a light gray. And I am going to go to the new Minka brush that we just did. But since you're on a clipping mask, you can actually still use this one because you're not on that blue layer. So you can go ahead and use this one. And now I'm just gonna, on a big size, just kind of really roughly, so it's not too precise looking, get a little bit of a ripped edge there. And it really seems stark because it's just the contrast is there, but by the time we paint over it, it's really not going to show up. And the reason I do it with a clipping mask is because I want to add a pattern to this later, and then it won't go onto that ripped edge. So when I add a pattern, I can just add a layer under that ripped edge there. So I'm on the blue layer down here, and I'm going to add this layer. And now I can add a pattern to that layer, or I could add anything I want, and it won't apply to this white. And later you can merge it if you're running out of layers. This is a real layer heavy process because you're going to do this with each section of paper. So then I have a lot of free patterns. So go into my newsletter freebies. If you're in my classes, there's even more. If you know how to make patterns, I teach how to make patterns, pattern brushes. So I am just kind of scrolling through my pattern brushes and finding what do I think I want for a pattern. I'm kind of going night sky here. So maybe I want some starry look. What color do I want my pattern to be? These are the things for me that take forever for me to think about. So that's why we're just kind of skipping ahead. So I just run my pattern brush across that, and that's good for now. I might want it to look more like I used a stencil. Oh, I have a stencil. I just bought my first stencils because I'm becoming a mixed media fanatic as well. So you can use stencils in real life, like rubbing brushes over that, and you can get a similar look with this any pattern brush that you have by going like this. I'm going to take up one more second here, Cecile, and then I'll give you a chance to talk. I'm going to turn this pattern off. I'm going to turn it off completely, but I am going to select it. And hopefully you can see the selection there. You could invert it. Oh, my dog might bark. You can invert it too if you want by tapping this invert button down here. But then I can go and pick a real painty brush. Lots of different options here. Let's see. I'm going to pick the more streaky brushes don't work as well. And then I can go to a new layer, and I still have that selection, and on a big size, and I can get more of that real kind of painty stencil look. If you want to switch colors, you can. You don't have to fill it all in, and this is really fun. So if I deselect, you can see, maybe see how different that is compared to just a solid brush. So that's kind of fun, and I do a lot of that stenciling with pattern brushes in this. How are you doing, Cecile?
Well, changing my mind every 2 minutes approximately. But this is where I am. So I have my background. I have a bigger moon, and I think it's better for my bird to stand out because I have a very high contrast. I have ripped a paper to make kind of a branch, and now I'm playing with tree silhouettes. And I'm auditioning different colors because I have a brown here. Not sure. This is better. And now that I have that, I can play with my composition because I have my elements I can move. So I can have my tree silhouette on the left and offset a bit the moon. So it's less of a centered composition, or I can have it to the right and push the moon to the left, or have the moon straight in the middle. You were talking about composition. It's a lot of composition is by instinct. For
Hmm.
example, here I have those two lines are almost parallel, and I think it's pretty boring, so I don't want that. And I cannot change the shape of my bird, but I can move my tree and move a bit my moon. And like that, I can see that this branch now looks a bit too large, too wide compared to the tree, and the tree should be bigger, like that.
Do you figure it all out before you glue it down?
Yes, because once it's glued,
No change in your mind, or you can glue over the top of it.
yeah, you can glue something else on top of it. But if you can avoid that, that's better, I think. Um, I want to add, it's too short here, so I don't bother too much on cutting another part of paper because it's collage, right? It's not a masterpiece. And I'm just helping with just a little line so I have the shape I want. And just like you did, you can either cut or tear the paper. Depends on the effect you want. Of course, cutting makes your life easier. And
Yes.
as I have a background with cardboard, I may also have my tree going a bit outside of my frame. That might be interesting. And just getting that a bit less wide. Yes.
I'm going to teach you something possibly. Did you know that paper has cleavage?
What
And
is cleavage?
if you take a piece of paper,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a note here. This is a scrap paper. If you tear it one direction, it will
Oh,
tear
yeah.
easier than the other direction. Oh man, that one didn't work. But
Hmm.
you'll find that one direction is easier than the other direction to get a straighter line.
Yeah.
And
And
that folds easier too.
and there is something else funny about papers. If you tear towards you, you will have the white edge on one side and not on the other
Oh,
side. And if you tear the other way,
that makes
the
sense.
white is changing. So
Yes.
you can decide if you want to have a white edge or not. Having a white edge can be interesting. And I have this small piece of paper. I place it here and I think it's giving more body, more weight to my composition. So I think I want to have something in the corner here that is maybe with a white edge. As we said, it will contrast.
I'm just adding more layers behind everything here, going down and down. I should have started low. So I'm gonna do some Jen's color of the year here, purplish. It's kind of the color I'm wearing.
Yeah, I know you like
Color
purple.
behind me.
Yeah, I think I found something now. Just want to push that so I have some branches on top of the moon. And I want to glue everything now so I can, after, work on the details of the feathers and the fingers. Well, it's not fingers, it's claws, but you see what I mean. And to glue, I'm using acrylic medium matte because this is what I like, but you can use PVA, you can use basically whatever you want. So I'm placing everything aside, turning this down, squeezing some medium, and I'm using a wedge to pull my glue. And what is important is that you have glue very well on your edges. And I'm pretty cautious with that because, as I said, it's rice paper and it's very thin. Ah, help.
I am cutting my crow feet now. So I am just getting a darker gray, not quite as dark as the crow for now, on a layer above the crow and doing fill layer. And then I can turn my sketch off and see if I did his feet good enough. Anytime you do something like this and you kind of want to fix something, like I want to fix this toe here, I can just stay on that layer and just add another chunk here.
Wait a second. We have a question. The glue, it's gel medium matte. I like matte. You can use shiny, glossy, whatever, but I like it matte. And you can use regular glue if you want to. I also use sometimes clear gesso. It's really up to what I have on hand. But I know that this medium matte, it's milky when it's fresh and it dries perfectly transparent. Ah, you're lucky. You don't have to glue anything, right?
No, my paint dries fast too.
For sure.
My glue is already dry and it's
Yeah.
not messy. My fingers aren't messy. Look at that glue on your finger.
Yeah, but I like that. I like to have my hands dirty when I make art. This is why I stopped Procreate at some point. Was not dirty enough for me.
So I just jumped ahead, even though I did kind of finish this one for the paper parts. I jumped ahead to the one I had prepared for adding patterns, but I already showed you how to add patterns. I'm just going to show you a couple more. So I'm going to do one over here. I'm going to do one more, and then I want to jump to adding textures because that's really fun also. I'll do the moon actually.
Mine is done.
So I'm going to add a layer above the moon that's under the deckled edge there, we'll call it. And I'm going to go bright. So I'm going to go to white for this pattern. And I happen to know that I have a pattern in my abstract class that I want to use, which is this one right here. I thought that was nice and moony on a big size. Yeah, that's fun. So I can fill it all in and then I can turn it off and go to a new layer, add a new layer, select my thing here. Oh, let's invert just to be different. I'm going to invert that. So now I'm painting in those other areas around the pattern itself. And I'll just pick kind of a deeper color. And I think I'll stay, I know you guys don't have these brushes, but really experiment with Procreate's brand new brushes are really amazing. I do have a sponge brush. Well, that was weird. Okay, sponge brush, it just jumped to the top. And I'm going to go back to my new layer and sponge on some of that color. And it kind of, and then when you deselect it, it went everywhere except where the pattern was. So that's fun. So that would be your next step, is to go through and add your patterns to all the areas if you're going to do any pattern at all. I ended up with this purple layer. I ended up not adding a pattern because the texture layer I chose for it was enough, and it was a little too busy to have the pattern and the texture. So I changed my mind later and took the pattern layer off, which is another reason why it's good to use different layers for this work. I normally don't use a lot of layers. So I want to get his face on here soon. Let me see if I did that by the next step. No, I haven't done that by the next step yet, so I'll wait. But I do want to show you really quickly how you can check your values. You can do this along the way, or you can do it later. So if you go to a layer at the very top of all your work and just fill it with black, and then go to the N and go all the way down and go to color. I think saturation works too, maybe even hue. I always go to color. And that just added a gray tone to your, it just turned everything into its gray tone. So now I can check values and I can see that that purple is kind of almost the same value as the crow. So I might want to lighten it. So I'll keep that in mind. I can lighten it right now, but I might just think about maybe adding a pattern that's going to lighten it to make it contrast with the crow a little bit more. So I could just keep that layer there and turn it off and check later as I'm adding patterns. I don't think I want to lighten it too much because then it's going to be too similar to that.
Made a mistake.
What'd you do?
I glued the wrong paper.
Oh.
Silly me, glued the wrong paper. Well, I'm working like a little piggy today, but that's okay. Just, I want you to see everything I'm doing. I would usually glue my papers on some plastic sheet or something so I don't place medium everywhere on my art like I'm doing right now, but that's the way it is. And I have my setup, everything is on place, and now I can add details to
Yes.
the bird, and I have different ways to do that. I think I will go with acrylic markers.
Ooh, I can't wait to see that.
Aha.
So normally, would you wait for the glue to dry?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
But now I don't have time for that. So
Okay.
I
I'm
will
going to go ahead and
try.
add some texture layers to this, just to one of them, and then add his face on there so we actually have something looking at us. So you can go to unsplash.com and look for textures. You can just search paper texture and then save them to your camera roll. You can download, search on free ones. You have to filter and not get the paid ones. And so I'll just go ahead and do one that I know will sort of stand out for the camera here. So I'm going to do blue. So my blue is the lowest layer. As far as layers go, you just kind of, just like Cecile's doing with real paper, the colors that are on top of other colors are just higher layers. So this blue is the very back. So I'm way down here. And I am going to go to a layer above the pattern layer this time. You can move it around and change blend modes and stuff. And I'm going to go to add. So the wrench tool, add, insert photo. And I have some photos in my camera roll, like this one right here, or a wrinkly paper. And you're not normally going to want to upscale, make things bigger in Procreate because it pixelates. But when it's just a texture, it's not that big of a deal. So you can angle it and get that kind of placed over what you want to do. While it's in this normal mode, if this were green or whatever, I would go to the magic wand, hue, saturation, brightness, and turn the saturation all the way down. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and give you, I'll do that example later. So then I would go back and go to curves and play around with the grayscale a little bit. So I'm going to brighten it and maybe maybe make it a little bit, it works better if it's not super dark when you change the blend modes on this. So now I'm going to go to the N and play with blend modes. And just kind of see if you like any of them. And if you don't, then you can find something different. So that one, I don't necessarily like it with this pattern, but that's how you do it. And I'm going to show you an example of a different colored paper too, so you can really see it happening. So I'm going to go to this purple layer right here and add a layer above. I'm going to go up below the pattern this time. So I'm under the pattern and go insert photo. And I'm going to choose this yellow. I'm going to rotate it. No, I think I liked it the other way. It's kind of wavy. I don't know if you can see that waviness. So I'm going to make sure it's fully in my cut paper there. And now I'm going to go to the magic wand, use saturation brightness, desaturate it. You don't have to desaturate it. This is just my process here. And then go back in and go to curves and see how gray it is. I'm going to brighten that gray, but I do want that the lines to be a little bit more obvious. So I can play around with that a little bit and then play around with blend modes. Can you see that?
I have a problem because my medium is not dry. So I cannot
that's
really
so cool looking.
I cannot really add
Blow
marker on top of it.
Do you want
But
here?
still,
Do you want to kind of fan it for a bit while I talk?
I have to see. Yeah, I need to let it dry for a bit because
Okay.
I'm stuck. Well, I will
So
add
I was just
something
showing
else.
textures on here, and then the pattern is still kind of just sitting on top. So I might make the pattern into a blend mode too, and it'll look a little bit more like it is part of that texture pattern, something like that. All right, so you would go through and do that. You would find all the textures, go down the rabbit hole of saving paper textures to your camera roll. And then for his face, let's do his face really quick. I need to turn the sketch back on, but I can't see it, so I'm going to make it light. Zoop. And then I am going to turn the opacity down so you can see what I'm doing. And just go on a layer above it. I have a mixed media brush set that is a newsletter freebie. And I have this Neocolor. I don't know if you know that, Cecile. I have a Neocolor Procreate brush.
Ah, yeah. I love Neocolor.
And I'm just going to make a little bit of a, oops, too big. A little bit of a round, eye there, and then a little bit of a glimmer. I just chose a light blue, and then I'll get a little white in there, kind of a glimmer. That's all you need to do. You could darken the pupil a little bit more if your dark crow isn't super dark. I'll turn that sketch off. I don't know if I can see. My glare on my screen right now is bad. So I think I can see that it darkened. So that is what I do for the eye. And on that same layer, I'm going to turn my sketch back on so I can see where the beak is. I am just going to do a little bit of a beak line there. And maybe with a super dark, I might add some darkness up here. They kind of have some fur, some feathers, not fur, on their beaks. Let's turn this sketch back off. So I've just kept my crow super simple in that regard. So textures, patterns, and then we jump to, this is my finished texture. So I have kind of a wrinkled paper. I have that texture there. I have some cursive. I have no texture there. And I have some wrinkled paper here that's hard to see. And then all my patterns. Oh, and I have that grid paper down here. It's a great way to use all your patterns. And now you can start to paint. So my crow feet are on top of everything else. So I'm going to paint under my crow feet. If I want to make sure I'm not painting on top of my crow, I can do this, which is a little different than what Cecile's doing. She has to, make sure because it's all one layer, right? So I could just go under my crow and start painting. And this is the part that's really time consuming and takes a lot of thought just to figure out how you want yours to look. So and I find it looks not how I enjoy it to look. That's probably the nicest way I can put it, until really far into it. Like really, once I get really far into the painting part, I'm like, oh, I like how this is coming together. I'm going to pick I don't know, a blue for now. And I'm just going to go back to Procreate 5.4 brushes. I would play with some oil brushes and some gouache brushes and really experiment. I'm going to do this kombu brush and sea scout brush. And you can just kind of see what kind of look you want. And think about what's kind of your overall goal here. And this is, I don't do this. I don't just blob paint onto paper here. So I don't know what I'm doing. And then you can do blend mode things here too. But I haven't done a ton with different blend modes. But I do enjoy getting some really fun colors down and blending them a little bit. If you tap and hold the smudge brush. I try not to smudge all the texture out. I want to get a little bit of some lighter colors around the moon, maybe on top of the moon too. Maybe some more golden down here. And you can change layers along the way. If you really like how something's turning out and you don't want to mess with it, you can just add a new layer.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much done actually.
Oh, you are? Yeah.
So, actual mixed media is faster than Procreate. Yes,
Wait, but your glue isn't dry. How is that possible?
it is dry now.
Oh, okay.
I'm just maybe auditioning some new branches on the right. I don't know. I have added another hill. Let's call that a hill. I like the overall color harmony. And I was thinking maybe a bit of branches here. What do you think? What kind of markers, pen am I using? These are Arctic's acrylic marker. I love them. It's not sponsored by any means, but I love them. Very opaque.
Oh, I
And
like knowing
also,
these things.
they have a brush pen
Okay.
tip, and you can really do very interesting things.
And what Cecile is doing with a paint, an acrylic paint on top of stuff, if you wanted to look like that in Procreate, you would go to a new layer and then this ends up looking dry and you're not smearing it around. This is like a wet on wet look, what I'm doing. And then if I want to switch to a Posca pen, which I have in that mixed media set, I have a Posca and Micron and Prismacolor. Then you just go to a new layer and then an additional layer on top of that to keep the Posca pen layer looking dry, for example. Why don't I just go ahead and do that? So I'm going to add a layer. Let's say I have a white Posca and I want to add some mark making.
So I'm hand cutting some branches, and I don't know if it's something I want to do or not.
And then I would go to a new layer on top of that. And I can then go ahead and paint on top of that, right? So you can paint on top of it without it smearing it. So that would be considered a wet on dry. Before I keep going, I want to show you how I do the crow wings. It's a lot like what Cecile just did, actually. So on my crow area here, I'm just going to go to a layer that's above all of the crow, but under the feet. You could go on top of the feet too. And I'm going to pick a brush. So is it pens? No. I found a favorite brush. I just don't know where it is. Is it oils? It is. Paints. It's
Would you
sheet.
have too many brushes? Maybe.
Well, these are the new Procreate brushes, so I'm
Ah,
not
yeah.
familiar with them. But
Yeah, I
the
know.
sheet
They
oak
added a
is a
bunch of
fun
them.
in the paints section. And then I got to think about what, and check your values along the way. What do I want the wing colors to look like here? So I have
Ah,
some green down here. I might do some green in its wings. This is a really fun brush for making some feathery looks, but I'm not going for a super feathery look. But I just started in the wrong spot. If you start down low, let me go to more of a really bright green, more like a teal. If you start down low and start overlapping, I'm going to put
yeah.
some little bit of green over here. I'm trying to be messy. And then I'm going to go a little more teal and a little lighter as I go up.
Messy, but with clean hands. Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
But I
Just
like clean.
saying.
Just I like my clean hands. Thank you. And see how you go from bottom to top. You can overlap your feathers that way. And yeah, so
Yeah,
have
so
fun just getting some. I have some black lines sketched in there from when I prepped this. You could put some on his chest. You could put some around its neck, like Cecile just did, because that reference photo has, I think it's actually a raven. Um,
yeah, I never knew the difference between both, but yeah, if you say so. Raven, crow.
so on this final one, I can show you really quick that I also added some textures like these dots and this kind of swirly pattern, and it's down here too, over the top of everything. So it wasn't just contained on the strips of paper. And also, there's hardly any of my pattern showing still underneath all of this. So don't get too hung up in the beginning. See my cursive down there?
Oh,
Don't get too hung up in the beginning on all the patterns that you're choosing because they might not even show by the end. It's all this layering and layering and layering. Um, and show of hands if you want me to show you how I make all the glitter. And I don't have glitter brushes. Well, I have an old one that's it works in a certain canvas, but I don't have any overall canvas texture. But I'll just show you the layer actually. So I have, I started with gold, but I switched to, if you find just a gold glitter image.
ah, glitter. That's a good idea. I can add glitter.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
if you start with a gold glitter image, you can just reduce the saturation to get it to be silver. And you can change the hue, saturation, brightness while it's gold to get a whole bunch of different colors as well. So um, I just turned my gold into silver here. And then I made an empty layer under it and I turned the silver layer into a clipping mask. So then I drew, and it doesn't matter what color you draw with and what pen you draw with. I drew on that layer, and anything that's on that layer will expose the gold that's on that clipping mask above it. So this brush that has this splatter is in the new brushes, and it is in Ink's Nightjar. You have to press kind of hard, or maybe it's a speed thing. I can't quite predict it. but crows love shiny things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, are there any questions for the Procreate side of things? Do you feel like, let me just review really quick. So, I got a general outline of where I was going to put all my paper pieces. And then I started to piece together all the pieces and put their deckled edges on, and going from behind the crow, I did it in out of order, but you can work from back to front, like in real life, like Cecile did. Um, and then I started adding all the patterns to those papers and used them as stencils by turning those patterns off using select and then either just regular select or also invert, and then on a new layer, blobbing on some paint. And then I put in some textures with some images, and then I painted. And then I glittered without getting glitter on my face. Do you like glitter on your face too? I bet you.
No, I don't, because I'm using little stars, metallic stars. So it's not glitter exactly, but it's still a bit shiny. Well, now it's a bit matte because the glue is not dry, but I have added some gold stars here and there just for the fun of it. Because you said glitter, and the
Yeah,
raven in me said, "Who glitter? We need glitter." And yeah, I think I'm done.
it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Some people said that they liked the branch in the upper right corner, so
Yeah, yeah,
always happy.
yeah, I love it.
Very good.
Very
So,
good. I'm just staring at yours. Sorry.
if someone has a question,
Trying to see if I don't. If you had a question that we missed, go ahead and ask it again. And we don't. I won't need to scroll back.
ah,
Hi,
lovely.
Jinx. Hi, Camille. Amy. I see a lot of my members here, and Gabby and Allie. So many people. Um, oh, so speaking of members, so just in case anybody here isn't aware, I do have a membership that's all about Procreate and really just about having fun in Procreate, not about earning money. And Cecile, what do you have?
Well, I do have mixed media classes
Yeah.
or courses, and I just released one with crows. And this is just a small one, but I do have 3 mixed media crows, full-time tutorials explaining step by step all I do, so you can really have fun with what you have. I even make a crow with magazine paper. I have it here so you can see what you can do with magazine paper. It's something, if I don't tell you it's magazine paper, you cannot guess.
That's beautiful. I love that. I actually I saw something that had small torn paper for the feathers like that, and I was thinking I was going to try to do that, and I didn't have the patience to do so many torn pieces even in Procreate. That was so much work.
Can you imagine doing that with actual paper?
No.
That's the fun of it. And I love this one. I think it's a good idea to glue that on a cardboard. It gives a bit of a grand effect. I like that. Well, if no one has a question, I think.
So you have mixed media classes, and then I see somebody asking where they can show their version. So this stream is going to live on my YouTube after this. I'm not on social media except for Substack, which claims not to be social media, but it really is. And I'm thinking, I don't use this part of YouTube very much, but I think I can make a post on
Yeah,
YouTube.
you can. Yeah,
And then
sure.
can people post their images in the comments? on that?
Oh, I'm not sure you can post images on YouTube posts. No,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, hmm.
But
Well, you can
yeah, I
email
know
me.
it's one of the downsides of not being on social media.
It really is. But it's so much nicer not being on social media.
Oh,
Or you can
yes.
come and join my membership. We have a private community that's not on social media, and it's like a really awesome Facebook group. I see someone saying hi to Lori, but I don't see a Lori. Did Lori make it? Lori loves crows. Um, but I think everybody's handle on YouTube is a little different, so I don't recognize everybody. But thank you all for coming, and thank you, Cecile. I know we've done, if you guys liked this, Cecile and I have done this once before, and it's on her channel. And
Yeah, it's
so,
lemons.
yeah, we did citrus slices. It was fun
Yeah,
in gouache, in
yeah,
gouache. Yeah.
exactly.
And I'm thinking about trying to do more of these with more artists, including Cecile, who has nicely agreed to do more. And I just have to figure out how, because the way I'm doing it today is not going to be how I continue to do it. So just the tech side of things. So I have to figure out that part. And if you guys like this kind of format with both of us going along, I think it's great. So I'd be happy to do more.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Okay, so thanks everyone for coming. And
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lori. I see you, Mark. All right. Thank you, everybody. And the recording will be on my YouTube later. Oh, I'm supposed to say my YouTube channel. My teenagers correct me. All right. See you
all right,
later.
au revoir. Bye
Bye.
bye.